Hi guys, today we're going to be pruning and fertilizing hydrangeas. I've got 12 of them that I want to get done today. 7 of them are in the front and they are panicle hydrangeas. 5 of them are in the back. 2 of those are panicle hydrangeas and the remaining 3 are macrophyllus. So I want to go step by step and show you guys how I prune each variety, and then we'll go in and fertilize them. And I know it can seem a little intimidating at first, but once you understand the basic characteristics of each variety and you do it a few times, you build confidence, and pretty soon it'll just become second nature and you can just whiz right on through them. So we're gonna start in the front yard with the panicle hydrangeas, and then we'll end up in the backyard. And as far as tools go, I've got my Felcos, I've got a pair of gloves, and I've got some Hollytone fertilizer. When I first started pruning hydrangeas, I was terrified because I really didn't have a good understanding of how they worked. And so I was just afraid I was just gonna mess them up and not have any flowers or any blooms on them. But, you know, over time, oops, over time, I've built up a little bit of confidence. Okay, so this is one of the front flower beds we're going to be working in. I've got 2 Bobo hydrangeas here, one on each side of the dwarf Colorado spruce. And these are not really going to need too much work. They've got an excellent branching structure right now. I'm just going to kind of need to go in here and just even everything off and then get rid of any damaged, dead, or diseased branches. Now in this bed, this is where we have the limelights and the little limes right in front. And these are gonna need a little bit more work. These are the limelights here from the clearance rack video that we did. And you can kind of see we have a whole network of branches over here, kind of like halfway up the main stem right here, and then right over here up top we've got like another set of branches. So we kind of need to marry the two together and even out the entire branching system, so when it starts to leaf out fully and bloom, we'll have a nice full even kind of like a vase shape plant. And the same goes for the other 2 limelights, because I did not trim these up at all last year because they were in pretty rough shape. I really didn't want to stress them out. And then same thing goes with the 2 little limes. We'll just kind of clean those up a bit. Okay, so before we make any cuts, let's talk about the difference between old wood and new wood, because I know that can seem a little confusing. It confused me at first too, especially because there's so many different varieties of hydrangeas out there. Some bloom on old wood, some bloom on new wood, and there's even some that bloom on old and new wood. So it's kind of like, which way do I go? So let's just start with the limelight hydrangea. This is a panicle or paniculata hydrangea, and these varieties bloom on new wood. And what that means is all of the new growth, all the new stems and branches that come out this season, those branches contain the buds that will turn into the flowers or the blooms for this season. Whereas with varieties like oak leaf or mountain hydrangeas, those are macrophylla hydrangeas. Those bloom on old wood, and what that means is the current branches that came out last year, those branches are the branches that contain the flower buds that will bloom this year. So varieties that bloom on old wood, they bloom, and then once they're done blooming, they start setting their buds for next year on this year's growth. So they're basically setting their buds this year, and then they're going to bloom next year. So those are the type of varieties of hydrangeas that you don't really want to prune too hard on. You just want to go in, remove the spent blooms, and just get rid of any dead, damaged, or diseased branches. Okay, so we're going to start by just removing all of the spent blooms from last year. So now we just want to go in and take a look at the overall structure of this shrub, and we want to get rid of any dead, damaged, or diseased branches. Anything that's kind of thin and scraggly over here, you just want to kind of remove it. Any branches that are growing in towards the center of the plant, you want to get rid of those. Actually, I'm going to get rid of this entire branch right here because it's growing straight up into it. So we'll just get rid of that. And we've got some thin, wispy branches here that are just not really strong or healthy looking. Like, see this one? That can go. That's dead. If you're unsure if a branch is dead or not, all you have to do is just scrape the bark back a little bit and you'll see whether it's green or brown. And if it's green, you know it's alive. Over here we've got a branch that's going right into this branch and rubbing into it, so we want to get rid of this. And basically overall just kind of clean it out a little bit and to allow for some light and airflow. And if we want to reduce the overall size of the canopy and just kind of bring the height down a little, we'll go with the tallest branches, and you want to follow them down to the next set of healthy buds right there. And if you want to take them down even further, you can just find the next set of buds and just make your cut right above there. And you also want to make sure that you pick a bud where the direction is pointing out and away from the center of the plant, because if you make a cut here, it's going to grow right into the center. So if we make our cut right above that one, right over here, this branch or this bud will grow out. So we're going to make our cut right there and just bring it all down. All right, I'm going to go after this one. Doesn't it look so much better? I feel like it can breathe now. So I did go in and take this down a little bit more than halfway because this was its actual first prune ever. So I took all of it down probably by about 40% because I wanted the entire structure to kind of be even in height. But if you look in here, there's no crisscrossing branches. Light and air can get in here. We've got new buds all over these branches. And it's just going to be such a happier and healthier plant. Okay, now we are going to come in and fertilize this. Give it a nice good feeding. You guys like my fancy dancy scientific cup? So what we want to do is sprinkle this around the drip line. And if you don't know what the drip line is, basically take an overall look at the structure of your plant and find the widest part. Basically, if you were to spray this down with water, where would the water drip to? Would it drip to here? No. It would probably go to the outermost branches and drip right there. So that would be your drip line. And that is where you want to place your fertilizer. So you just want to scrape the mulch back a little bit. Give it a nice little sprinkle all over. Scratch it in with the soil. And cover it back up. And then just water it in. Okay, we get to do this 11 more times. So now this is the Bobo hydrangea. This is also a panicle hydrangea that blooms on new wood. And this has a very good overall structure. This is pretty much exactly how you want to prune and shape your panicle hydrangeas. See how it kind of starts out kind of tight at the base, and then it kind of gradually comes out and comes up kind of like a vase shape. This is overall a good structure. All I'm going to do is come in, remove any dead, damaged, and diseased branches, any branches that are crisscrossing, and just kind of lighten the interior a little bit. And that's pretty much it. Sometimes they don't need too much pruning. They just need a little light shape up. Oh. And then of course, when you accidentally break one, just make a clean cut on that branch, that broken branch. Okay, these are the last two of the panicle hydrangeas. This is a little lime over here, and we have another one over here, and I'm going to prune these another day because I still want to come in here and I need to get rid of all of these weeds right here. This is that lesser celandine I was telling you about, and it is just going wild. Look at this. So I need to get in here and dig all of this stuff up before I come in and prune and fertilize, because there's really no point. I don't want to fertilize the weeds and have them just go even crazier. Ugh. This is going to be quite the job. Okay, so let's move on to the hydrangeas that bloom on old wood and old and new wood. Now I do need to make a correction. These are the Tough Stuff AHA series hydrangeas, and these are a hydrangea serrata. These are the ones that bloom on both old and new wood. So you treat these just like you would your macrophyllus that bloom on old wood. All you do is cut back any spent blooms and then go in and remove any dead, damaged, or diseased branches. You don't want to go and prune them down too much like we did with the panicle hydrangeas, because if you look closely, these buds right here, these are the flower buds for this year, but the plant set these up last year. So these stems are what is considered old wood, and these are the buds. So we don't want to cut any of these down. You basically just want to let them do their thing, basically. So what we're going to do, since I've already gone in here and removed the spent blooms earlier, I'm just going to go in and just remove any dead, damaged, or diseased branches and fertilize them. Now here is a good example of a dead branch. Look at this branch. It is black. If we go in and we scrape it down, we remove some of the bark, it's brown. There's no green in here. This is dead. So you can see where some of the older bloom was here. We can go in and remove this whole thing right here, just like that. And again, if you're unsure, just take the blade of your pruner and scrape back a little bit. Scrape some of the bark. If you see green, you know it's alive. If you see tan or brown like this, you know it's dead and you can remove it. And we're just getting rid of these spindly little branches that have gotten some winter burn from last season. They're not going to produce anything, so we can get rid of these. Now, if it is getting a little too scraggly or a little too out of sorts and you do want to prune it to kind of get that shape back in line again, you may sacrifice some of the blooms or all of the blooms for that season. I've done it before. I've taken my mom's older hydrangeas, I've taken them like halfway down just because they were so mangy and so out of control. And so I knew I wasn't going to have blooms, so I literally just cut them back by half. And again, the rule is you only want to do by a third for panicle hydrangeas. For these that bloom on old or older new wood, You really don't want to do it. If you are going to do it, just know you're going to sacrifice the blooms. But sometimes you just have to do it. And then next year they look even better. And see some of these branches. Let me switch this real quick. See how sometimes you end up with like a wild, out of control branch that's just literally growing sideways. But we do have buds on here. I would just come in and take it down a little bit just to kind of get that canopy and that branching even. Okay, we're all done. And this is all that I cut off of all three of them combined. Hardly anything. Now we're gonna fertilize. Now, if these were planted in the landscape, I would fertilize them just like I did the ones out front. But because these are in nursery containers, you wanna fertilize them a little differently. They don't require as much fertilizer as they do in ground, and you only wanna fertilize right around the rim of the container, and then just scratch that in and water it in. So basically we just wanna go and just give a nice little dose of fertilizer all around and just scratch it in. And usually you try to get most of your fertilizer in the container, not all over your table. Let me clean up real quick and then we'll be right back. We got these all done. They look so much better. And you can see, look how many new leaves we've already got all over these things. Oh, I hope these put on a gorgeous, gorgeous show this year. And we come out to the front flower beds. Here are our Bobo hydrangeas. They're all pruned, fertilized, and I did go ahead and water all of these in too, because I checked the weather and actually we're not supposed to get rain until Friday, so that's 5 days. So I figured let's just give them a little water. Here's the other Bobo hydrangea. Kind of hard to see because they look so much like the mulch, but you can get a good idea of like the overall structure of them. They kind of look like a vase, and that's kind of what I'm going for here. Let's go over to the other garden bed where we have the lime lights and the little limes. And these I did take back a little bit harder because these were from the clearance rack and they had never had an actual prune. I didn't prune them too hard last year because they were stressed out. So I didn't want to stress them out even more. But you can see they just look so much better now. We've got a few main branches right here. We got rid of all of that spindly, gunkily little stuff in there. So now we can get light and air in there. Fertilize them and water them all in. Here's the middle limelight. And there's the other one on the end. And then here we've got our little limes, all nice and cleaned up, ready for the new season. I think it's going to be a very, very pretty show this year. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see what they do. This will be their first full year in the ground. And I hope after watching this video, you're not intimidated to go out there and prune your hydrangeas. Once you understand the different varieties and their needs and you practice a few times, eventually it becomes second nature and you can just go out there and zip, zip, zip and get it all done. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and we'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.